still. I hear the voice that gently speaks. Wake up, my child, you barely sleep. Dream on, happy dreams come true. Dream on, yeah, it can happen to you.
Welcome to the Way of Mastery. Welcome to the Way of Mastery, mighty companions. Come on, join.
And now you know, yes, you've been told. Dreams ain't come, dreams ain't go. That time away is now at hand. As we forgive the sun and
Dream on. Happy dreams come true. Dream on. Welcome to the Way of Mastery.
yeah, it can happen to you.
Welcome to the Way of Mastery. Welcome to the Way of Mastery. Welcome to the Way of Mastery. You don't have to believe these ideas. You don't have to accept these ideas. You don't have to welcome these ideas. Some of these ideas are going to be hard to believe, and some of these ideas are going to be quite startling. But if you use the ideas, you will see that they are true. You know your sin has never been, so cast your cares unto the wind and see the light that's shining deep. Dream on. Happy dreams come true. Happy dreams come true. Yes, they do. Dream on. It can happen to you. Happy dreams. Dream on. Happy dreams. It's time for us to have happy dreams, mighty companion. Dream on.
The happy dream has come.
The happy dream has come. Dream on.
Dream on.
Dream on. The happy dream has come. Baby, 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 dream on.
The final dream has come.
The final dream, the happy dream has come. The happy dream has come. The happy dream has come. Welcome to A Way of Mastery. Welcome to the Way of Mastery. I want to thank you all for tuning in together, mighty companions, the family. We've come together again like we normally do on Tuesday nights. I want to invite you. I'm Earl Purdy on Facebook Live, and I want to invite you to comment and communicate with each other, because that's the advantage of us doing a live broadcast. And please share the video right there on your phone and computer or wherever you are. Just push share and then share it on your timeline, and other people would get a chance to tune into it and perhaps see it, who would enjoy what we're doing tonight. And I will try to answer questions whenever I can, because, you know, teaching the session and at the same time trying to follow along with all the comments at the same time, it can be a little challenging sometimes, so bear with me and have patience. And I want to thank you for joining. I want to thank Andrea. I want to thank CJ for joining. Sophia. I want to thank Carla, Ashley, Crystal, Janet, Tamsin. I want to thank you for joining. And everybody else that's coming online right now. I want to thank you for joining the Way of Mastery. The Way of Mastery is a powerful, powerful teaching. And tonight we're going to be in a section that's called In the Way of Knowing. We're going to be in the Way of Knowing. We're going to be on page 358, page 358, In the Way of Knowing. And we're in part 3, The Way of Knowing. And we're in the section that's called Place Your Trust in the Love That Birthed You. Place your trust in the love that birthed you. Place your trust in the love that birthed you. What should you place your trust in? Place your trust in the love that birthed you. That's what we're going to talk about. Tonight we're going to talk about trust and placing your trust in the love that gave birth to you. On page 358. When you become so much a lover of the wisdom of perfect union with God, when you become the lover of the wisdom that comes from perfect union with God. I love the wisdom that comes from uniting with God. And when you get, how do you know when you really trust the love that comes from the perfect wisdom of the trust in God? When you are really trusting in the love that comes from the wisdom, from the perfect love of God, it's the only thing that matters to you. That means you are already 90% free of all illusion. If you want to know when you are free of most of your false ideas, you're free of most of your false ideas when you love the wisdom that comes from your connection with Source more than anything else. That the only thing that really matters to you is your connection to Source. I often have people ask me, what do I like to do? What's fun for me? And they'll say, besides, focusing on the truth and studying. And the way I feel about it is, that is my fun. My greatest pleasure is the time that I spend focusing in on the truth, focusing in on my relationship with God. That is the greatest, I'm not kidding you. I love dancing, I love music, I love connecting with people, I love traveling, I love all of those things, but I would be lying to you if I said to you that those things were more enjoyable to me ultimately than the time I spend with you, the time that we spend focusing on truth and God and love together. The world will never have the power to truly bind you again. The world will never have the power to truly bind you. If the only thing that you really love the most is your connection with God and the wisdom that you get and the guidance that you get from connecting to your Creator. So what is it that we are being asked to do right now? We are being asked to place our trust in the love that gave birth to us. You must place your trust in the love that gave birth to you. Do you know that love gave birth to you? It's love that created you. And what we have to do right now is place our trust in the love that gave birth to us. And another term for love is God. Another term for love is God. And so we must place our trust in the God that birthed us, the love that birthed us. I would invite you to let go of the perception that you may have of God as a man in the sky, the way that we were taught, many of us, in our religious upbringing. We are not bodies. We are spiritual beings having a human experience expressing through physical bodies. We are not bodies ultimately, and our Creator is not a body. So let go as best you can this idea of some God outside of you in a remote place. Sometimes I can understand there being a God in a remote place other than some of the insanity that I see in this world. But we have to let go of this idea of this God that's this dysfunctional person that's arbitrarily punishing everything and everybody. If you have any of the residue of that, I would advise you to let that go. That's a very limiting perception of our Creator. And so placing your trust in the love that birthed you, and when I say birth you, I'm not talking about the body. When I say birth you, I'm not talking about your personal history. And if I'm not talking about your personal history, I'm not talking about your ego. The you that I'm referring to is the you that exists within you. It's the you that exists within you. And it's the you that you were before you ever took a physical form. We're talking about the real you. We're talking about the spiritual you. We're talking about you as consciousness, you as awareness. You are consciousness, you are awareness, you are spirit. You are consciousness, you are awareness, you are spirit. You are not your body. You are consciousness, you are awareness, you are spirit. One of the things that I like to do in my class, where I have all of you mighty companions, is the power of repetition is the power of awakening. How much we allow ourselves to hear it That's why I repeat a lot of things, because you never drive a nail in with one blow usually. It takes many times for something to really sink into our consciousness. And what I mean by sinking into our consciousness, I mean getting past the levels of learning that we have experienced in the past, getting past our own personal biases and beliefs that we have had from the past that have been based on the idea of us being separate and being based on the idea that we are not one with each other. So we have to penetrate those old levels of programming. And to penetrate those old levels of programming, you have to hear things many, many, many times. So it says, it is as though your Creator has created you as the powerful ocean in which you have been, knowingly or unknowingly, emanating all of the waves that have become your particular experience as the soul. You are like an ocean who has been emanating all the waves that you call your experience. You are an ocean, and the waves are your experience. And that is what God created. You as this unlimited consciousness. You as this unlimited ocean of consciousness. And it says, the way of mastery says, trust the one that created you. Trust the one that created you. You didn't create yourself, so trust the one that created you, because you didn't create yourself. You did not 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 create yourself. Trust the one that created you. That means trust in the infinite source of your awareness. Trust in the infinite source that is your awareness, that is perfectly free in every moment. You are perfectly free in every moment. Perfect means complete, and completely free is to be perfectly free, is to be completely free. You are completely free right now. In this moment, you are completely free right now in this moment. Trust that source that created you. That source that created you. You are an infinite source of awareness that is perfectly free in every moment. What are you perfectly free in every moment to do? What you are perfectly free in every moment to do is to decide what experience you will have. You are totally free to decide what experience you will have in every moment. You are free to decide what experience that you will have in every moment. You are free to decide what experience you're going to have in every moment. Now, why is it important to know that you are an awareness that's completely free? Completely free to decide what you are going to experience in every moment. Your world will teach you. That means the level of perception of your body mind would say, well, I want to have an experience. So you say to yourself, as a being that has a body and a mind that seems to be in a body, you may say, well, I want to have an experience. Or I just had a thought of having an ice cream. Or I haven't thought of going to the movie. I've experienced driving my body to the ice cream store and eating ice cream, for example. Then that event does occur. I've decided I'm going to have an ice cream cone. I'm going to go up here to the store and have me an ice cream cone. But if you look closely, even with a simple decision like that, to have an ice cream cone, what I love about the Way of Mastery, one of the things I love about the Way of Mastery is the way that it uses everyday experiences that we go through, thinking that we are bodies with minds. It uses the everyday experiences that we think that we are from that awareness. And it says, if you look closely, you will discover that your experience is the value you place upon the event. So when we talk about experiences, we're talking about the value you place upon whatever the event is that you do. If you have an experience of a relationship, we're talking about you are going to have the value that you place on a relationship. The value that you place on something is the experience you have of it. The value you place upon this class is this Facebook Live class. It's the experience you have on it, of it. The value you place on something is the experience that you have of it. The value that you place on something is the experience that you have of it. I know that seems very subtle. I know that can seem very subtle. It's very, very important, though, to recognize that the value you place upon something is the experience that you have of it. So let's get another example of experience. Experience actually occurs nowhere but in the field of the mind. So, according to the way of mastery, every experience that you have takes place only in your mind. Every experience that you have, Raj, it takes place only in your mind. The experience that you're having in your life right now, every experience that you're having in your life right now, according to the way of mastery, is taking place in your mind. Mighty companion, I don't care what the experience that you're having right now in any area of your life, that experience is happening in your mind because the value that you place on what you are experiencing is the experience. The value that you place on it is the experience of it. So that means that everything that you are experiencing right now is taking place in your mind, because all value takes place in your mind. All value takes place in your mind. So all experience takes place in your mind, because you're giving everything that you are experiencing the meaning that it has to you. You're the one that's giving every experience in your life all the meaning that it has to you. Every experience that's happening in your life right now, you're the one that's giving it all the meaning that it has for you. Every experience that you're having right now, you're the one that's giving it all the experience. You're giving it all the meaning, all the meaning, all the meaning that it has for you. CJ says, I have the freedom to choose my experience. That's exactly right, CJ. You have the freedom to choose, and that's the key word, to choose your experience. Shahira says, I am completely free right now. In this moment, you are completely free to do what? Decide how you're going to experience your experience right now. And you also say you trust in the one who created you. That is exactly right. I'm going to trust in that which created me. Ashley says, trust. Thank you. I need to hear the truth on this. Ashley, I need to hear the truth also, darling. I'm telling you, I'm glad that you're here with me. And hello, Dharma. This is our time. Remember, we are not alone. Remember, right now, we have our mighty companions with us. Andrea says, does a negative experience mean low value? First of all, my perception of that is that what is a negative experience? A negative experience is merely an experience that I'm seeing from the perspective of fear, and not from the perspective of this is an experience right now that I have called into my life in order for me to use to have a lesson in love that I need to have. That there's something about this experience that I'm having that gives me the opportunity to remember who and what I really am. So, number one, is it really a negative experience, or is my perception of it is that it's a negative experience? And if I'm having an experience and I'm perceiving it as negative, then it is a low value experience to me if I'm seeing it as negative. If I see it as a lesson that God would have me learn, if I see it as an opportunity to see things in a different way that will free me, then it is not a low value experience. So whether it's a low value experience or not is dependent on the meaning that I choose to give to it. So thank you for saying that, Andrea. So let's go to the next paragraph. It says, you could just as easily go to the store and eat ice cream and have your mind on a book that you're writing, or the remembrance of a great love affair, or at the ice cream store, you could have the memory of a great movie from the night before and never even notice the taste of the ice cream. You could be so focused on everything but the ice cream when you are at the ice cream store with your ice cream cones. Then it says you get home and your wife or husband says, well, dear, did you have a good trip to the ice cream store? And you reply, Oh, that's right. I did stop at the store. To tell you the truth, I don't even remember what I had. So where does the experience occur? It does not occur at the level of the body, mind itself. The experience that you would have had at the ice cream store would have occurred at the level of your mind, because you could be right in the middle of the ice cream store. You could have the ice cream cone in your hand and be so busy focusing on what happened today at work that the only experience that you had was an experience in your mind, and overlook the entire physical experience of actually being at the ice cream store with the ice cream. So keep in mind, your mind is going to shape experience according to what your mind chooses to value. Your mind shapes the experiences in your life according to what it chooses to value. So I would invite you right now to think about, as we go through this, what I'd like to have us have every Way of Mastery class is an experience of the Way of Mastery, where it's not just an intellectual exercise, but it's really, we can have an experience together. How do we have an experience together? Well, you think about some experience. You focus on some experience that you are having in your life right now. Whether or not you see that experience as a really loving, cool experience, or you see that experience as something that is giving you hell. You think about that experience, and then you say to yourself, this experience that I'm having right now, I'm having at the level of my mind. My mind is going to shape my experience according to what I choose to value about this experience. My mind is shaping this experience according to what I choose to value about this experience. My mind is shaping the experience that I had at work today based on what I choose to value about this experience that I had at work today. So the experience that I'm having is really taking place in my mind, because it's my mind that's deciding how I'm going to shape this experience that I just had. Now, the Way of Mastery says, now, does that mean that you just drop doing anything in the world? I don't know how we make those leaps, but it says, does that mean that you just drop doing anything in the world? Do you just drop doing anything in the world? If the experience takes place only in mind, if everything that you experience takes place only in mind, then do you just drop doing anything in the world? Well, the answer is, of course, no. Even though the experience is ultimately happening in your mind, it doesn't mean that you drop anything in the world. Would you like to know how an awakened being would handle any experience? Would you like to know how a person that is awake handles an experience? Do you know that if you were to really listen to the Way of Mastery and any truth text, it's always doing two things. It's saying, this is the way that a person who is not awake handles things and acts and thinks. And then right behind it, it says, this is the way that a person that is awakening or awake handles things. So it tells us, this is the way that a person that is rooted and based in love handles things. And then it also tells us how a person that is fear-based and basically thinks that they are separate handles things. Because if you can tell the difference between an awake person and an asleep person, if you can really tell the difference between when you're coming from love and when you're coming from fear, then you will make the right choices in who you will join with, what kind of responses you will make. You will watch your whole experience transform. But in the beginning, we have to learn the difference between when I am acting from the truth and when I'm acting from what's not the truth. And in order to do that, Raj, you've got to get to the point that you are willing to admit that you don't really know what everything is for, that you don't know everything, that everything you know may not be all there is to know. I have to be as a little child. I have to be willing to let go of the ideas and the concepts that I really have about things. And so even as you listen to what we're sharing in the Way of Mastery, it would be awesome if you would just let yourself, just for a minute, really let yourself hear what the Way of Mastery is saying, not what Earl is saying. I am merely trying to be a conduit for what this material is saying. I'm not asking you to do as I tell you to do. I'm saying that if the Way of Mastery is a curriculum that appeals to you, that's powerful for you, and you're ready to do it another way, just for a minute, let go of that part of you that thinks it knows everything. You know, that wants to teach everybody what you know. And just go, okay, how can we hear this together? How can we reinforce the ideas that we're hearing? So it's going to tell us what an awakened being in the world. How does an awakened being handle things? Well, the way of Mastery says, an awakened being in the world does what? An awakened being delights and has fun. What? And a being that's a person that's awake delights and has fun from a state of clarity. See, having fun from a state of clarity is different from having fun from a state of unknowing sleep and being confused. It says, an awakened being in the world simply delights and has fun from a state of clarity of knowing that whatever they choose to do with the body, mind, is merely a free choice. Whatever you choose to do with your body, mind, when you are awake, you know that it's a free choice based on what you are choosing to value in the moment. You're always making free choices based on what you choose to value in any moment. You're always making a free choice based on what you are choosing to value in that moment. The truth would say what you're choosing to value in any moment isn't just the physical experience of whether I go to the movie or whether I go to the park. The true thing that I'm choosing to value in any moment would be whether I'm choosing to value peace in any moment or whether I'm choosing to value some form of fear or conflict. So the real choice in each moment is between love and fear. The real choice, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're physically doing. It doesn't matter what you're physically experiencing. What ultimately you're choosing to experience, especially since all experience is taking place in your mind, what you're choosing to experience in any moment is love or fear. So an awakened being in the world delights and has fun. But that person is having fun from a state of clarity, knowing that whatever they choose is a free choice. And whatever they choose is going to be a free choice based on what they're choosing to value in any moment. And if you own that valuation, you can totally enjoy the experience that you are having. If you own what you value, if you're clear about what you're valuing, in any moment that you're making a free choice to have an experience, if you are totally taking responsibility for what you choose to value and what you choose to experience in any given moment, then you can have fun. If you choose to take total 100% responsibility for whatever you experience in any given moment, then anything that you experience in any given moment can be something that you enjoy. If you take 100% responsibility for whatever you choose to experience in any given moment, then whatever you experience in any given moment can be experienced in a more peaceful way. If you're not playing the victim in any given moment and you're taking responsibility in any given moment for what it is you are experiencing, it's going to give you more peace in that moment. He says, now, the awakened being at that point, the point of doing what? Owning the valuation, totally enjoying the experience that you're having. When you're totally enjoying the experience that you're having because you own it, because you know you're choosing to value it, because you know it's your free choice, because you have a state of clarity, because you're ready to delight and have fun, then you have come full circle according to the way of mastery. In other words, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. If you want to design a website, for example, if you want to be a banker, if you want to be a dancer, if you want to be a prostitute, if you want to be a farmer, it no longer matters. It no longer matters whatever it is that you are trying to do at a physical level. Because when your mind is awake, Raj, when you are finally awake, while the body still lasts, while you are awake, you merely see experiences in your life arise and pass away. When you wake up to you're just having constant experiences that come up. You experience the experience and then it goes away. You live your life going, the experiences are going to come up. I'm going to experience this experience and it's going to pass away. Then another experience is going to come up. I'm going to experience that experience and then it's going to pass away. Another experience has presented itself. Another experience has come up. I'm experiencing this experience and it's going to pass away. Then I have another experience, and then I experience that experience and it comes up. And then it passes away. I have an experience. I value that experience. I experience the value I place on that experience, and then that experience passes away. Another experience comes up that I choose to have. Another experience comes up that I call to myself. I experience that experience according to the values that I put on that experience, and then that experience passes away. An awakened person, a person that's really aware, a person of higher consciousness, a person that's rooted in truth and rooted in love, that's a person that takes total ownership, Now, how do you take total ownership? Let me tell you how you take total ownership. Let me tell you how you take total ownership. Let me tell you how you take total ownership. Let me tell you how you take total ownership. You realize that you have the power to create your experience. You have the power to create your experience as being delightful. You have the power to create your experience as being delightful. You have the power to create your experience. You have the power to create your experience as being fulfilling. You have the power to create. You have the power to create your experience as being a blessing. You have the power to create your experience as being delightful. You have the power to create your experience as being fulfilling. You have the power to create your experience as being a blessing. You have the power to create your experience by the value you put on your experience as being delightful, regardless of what the body-mind is actually doing. It doesn't matter what your body-mind is actually doing. You have the power to create the experience, whatever the experience is, as being delightful, fulfilling, and a blessing. You have the power to create your experience as being delightful, fulfilling, and a blessing. Delightful, fulfilling, and a blessing. You have the power to experience your experience as delightful, fulfilling, and a blessing. You have the power to experience your experience as delightful, fulfilling, and a blessing, regardless of what the body-mind is actually doing. So let's see. Now, would you consider that there can be no difference? What does that mean, there can be no difference? Let me share with you what the Way of Mastery is saying, and let's see if we can hear it. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher standing at a boat on the shores. It doesn't matter if you are a teacher standing at a boat on the shores of a great lake in what you now call Israel. This is Yeshua talking about his own experience, actually, in you that's familiar with the Bible. He says, it doesn't matter if you're a teacher standing at a boat on the shores of a great lake in what you now call Israel, talking to a horde of hundreds, or perhaps seeing if you can actually make a few fish and loaves of bread feed 5,000, and then saying, oh, how about that? That was great fun. There's no difference between doing that and driving a truck in New York City and delivering frozen fish. If the mind within the soul is taking complete ownership and delighting in the mystery of creating experience and choosing to bring enjoyment and freedom in that moment. So I'm going to say this until I hear it, and hopefully you hear it also just for a minute. It doesn't matter what you're doing for a living. It doesn't matter what you're doing for a living. It makes no difference what you're doing for a living. You can think you're doing the most menial job. It doesn't make any difference. You can think you're doing the most important job. It doesn't matter if you're the president or a janitor. It doesn't matter. If you are taking complete ownership, if you are delighting in the mystery of creating experience, if you are delighting in the mystery of creating experience, if you are choosing to bring enjoyment, if you're choosing to bring enjoyment, if you're choosing to bring enjoyment, if you're choosing to bring enjoyment and freedom to this moment, then you are doing as much for the healing and the love of the experience in this world as Jesus did, feeding 5,000 people with fish and bread. If you are every day, going about your day, doing whatever it is you are doing, if you're doing it from a state of mind that is taking complete ownership, a state of mind that's delighting in the mystery of creating the experience, then you are choosing to bring enjoyment and freedom to that moment. If you're bringing enjoyment and freedom to this moment right now, you're playing as great a role as Jesus or Yeshua did to bring peace and joy on this planet. That is why events of the world can never bind you. Do you know that even though it looks like it? Do you know that even though it feels like it? The events of this world can never limit you. They can never bind you. Nothing that's happening in this world has to limit you. No matter what you see in the news, no matter what you hear in the news, no matter what your friends are saying that could be frightening, no matter what your neighbors are saying, no matter what anybody is doing in the world right now that seems to be frightening, Rod, you need to remember that the events of this world can never bind you. Mighty companion, the events of this world can never bind you. The events of this world can never truly limit you. Who you really are can never be limited by the events of this world. What you really are, who you really are, can never be limited by the events of this world. Now let's see what we have. Dharma says total ownership. Total ownership means I'm taking 100% responsibility for my experience. I was just told that my experience is coming from the value that I put on whatever I'm going through. That's the experience, is the value. Cheryl says, I'm totally enjoying this class. It really inspires me to know that you're really enjoying this class. Whenever you all share comments, whenever you send hearts out, whenever you respond, it inspires and helps me feel like, okay, just keep on doing it, Earl. Stay a channel. Stay open. Let it come through. It means that I feel like my mighty companions are with me. And I love that. So thank you. Thank you for letting me know that you're 100% with me by sending out emojis that reflect that you're with me and that you hear what's being said and that you enjoy it as much as I do. Talisha says, my only choice moment to moment is either love or fear. That's another very important thing to keep in mind, that when you are becoming conscious, thank you for sending the hearts out. I love you all. You all are awesome. Y'all are badass. You know that? I love you. It's good to feel that there are other beings and other parts of myself that's so glad to go beyond the thinking of fear and the thinking of this world. Talisha says, my only choice moment to moment is either love or fear. That's right. Talisha, when you begin to really wake up to the truth, it's no longer about the events. It's no longer about the physical events that really matters. What matters is whether you're going to use that event to give you delight or whether or not you're going to use that event to cause you some sort of pain. Amber, good to see you. Amber says, the real choice is love or fear. What am I valuing in any moment? That's what I'll experience. That's what you want to do. In every moment you want to go, what am I valuing in this moment? Because that's going to be the experience that I have of this moment. Absolutely right, Amber. I'm with you. Dharma says, thank you. I want to tell you that you're totally welcome. Terry says, my beloved dog Carl was diagnosed with a severe issue today. I pray for freedom from fear now and become an awakened being. Terry, that is exactly right. Ask for the correct perception of the diagnosis. The Course in Miracles says you don't ask for the actual healing of the symptom. It teaches that you ask for the correct perception of whatever it is that's going on. So know that your dog is not its body. Your dog, it's not its body. That it is, we are all connected, and it's all us. The plants are us, the animals are us, the birds are us, the air is us, the ground. We are everything. Who we really are is everything. So your beloved dog is actually a part of all of us. That spirit, that energy is part of all of us. So we ask for the correct perception of your dog, and we ask for God's will in this situation. And my heart goes out to you. Jacob says, when you are fully in love and in the thinking of one singular mind, does it mean there is nothing outside of you that could ever be experienced even in this world, thus you only experience? Jacob, that is exactly right. The lesson that we're going to ultimately learn is that there is nothing outside of the mind, that everything we see is a projection of the mind. When you go to a movie and you watch what's going on the movie screen, actually what's going on is actually taking place in the projection booth, in the film that's in the film that's in the projection booth. So nothing that you're seeing on the screen is actually in the screen or even being created by the screen. Everything that's happening is happening from the projector, and you are the projector. So there's nothing that you are experiencing that's being caused outside of you, because don't forget, it said that an experience is ultimately the value that you place on something. And the value that you place on something determines how you experience it. So the experience that you're having is always coming from inside your mind, because it's your mind that is determining the value that the experience has for you. So thank you, Jacob, for sharing. Valletta says, yes, I need to know how an awakened person handles things. I know exactly what you mean, Valletta. It's so important for us to get a chance to see the contrast between how a love-based mind operates and how a fear-based mind operates. And once we know that, we can start making the right choices. Suppose if you went out on a date, for instance, and you met somebody and you truly knew the difference between the way a love-based mind operates and you knew how a fear-based mind operates. Well, you could have a conversation with that person and you would know immediately whether or not this is a person that's coming from a fear-based, asleep point of view. How much responsibility does this person take? How much do they see themselves as one with you? How much do they see love as being the answer to everything? In other words, is this person still blaming? Are they projecting? Are they seeing their happiness as coming from something outside of themselves? Are they looking at their happiness as coming from everybody acting out their script? Well, then you know you're talking to a person that's asleep. If this person right now just staying in a totally fearful, guilty, unhappy place, then you know right now they are asleep. Do you notice that I didn't say that that person was sinful? Did you notice that I didn't say that that person was bad or that person was guilty? I said that that person was asleep. And if you're in a room and a person is asleep, you don't beat that person up while they're laying up in the bed asleep. As an awake person, if anything, while that person is asleep, you would protect them because they are asleep. And that means that they are unaware. And since they're unaware, it would be your function as the awake person in the room to try to make sure that they were not hurt. So when we're around those parts of ourselves that are full of fear and separation and guilt and anger, our job is not to attack them any more than it would be your job to attack a person that's laying on the bed asleep. Your job is to recognize that they're asleep and love them in their sleep and to be a protective force for them in their sleep. So, May, good to see you. So, CJ, where we are in the book is we are in the section called Place Your Trust in the Love That Birthed You. And we are in the paragraph that says, this is why events of the world can never bind you. So we're on page 359. So when somebody comes online, those of you in the book, please let them know where we are. That would be part of helping each other out. Ashley says, is this saying the goal is to bring joy in every moment? Yeah, the goal is for us to be an example of joy and happiness in every moment as best we can, but without beating ourselves up if we're not feeling joyful in every moment, because we're still innocent. CJ says, so powerful that this content is saying the experience and release. As it says, the awakened person lets the experience arise and pass away. And if we try to hold on to any experience, negative or positive, then we cease living the experience. Yeah, see, we hold on to things. So I had what I experienced as a fearful experience of you on a date that I went out with you. So rather than just go, that was the experience that I gave myself in that experience and let it go, it'd be open to the next experience that life is going to give me. I spent the next 5 years analyzing and blaming myself about what happened in that experience that I called a negative experience when I went on a date. And then without letting it pass, realizing that I was experiencing the value I was putting on the experience, maybe I'll make myself afraid to go out with anybody else. That's me holding on to the value that I put on the experience that I had in the past. So that's why you want to let the experience come up, recognize the lesson that the experience is trying to teach you, and then let the experience go. And Dharma says, powerful. You right. This is some powerful stuff. Christina says, I love your take on this book, Earl. It helps me get through the book in my own study. Christina, that is exactly why I'm doing this, so that I can learn it. I teach best what I want to learn. I'm teaching I am not teaching this class from the perspective that any of us are not equal with each other. I may have more experience of it because I've been studying the way of mastery for many, many years now. But that experience can save us time. But it's not coming from the perspective that we're not equals or that I know everything. But I have had more experience with it, so maybe that could speed you along. And that would be my desire, because you are me. See, I'm looking at it more and more every day. We are one. When we hear that statement, we are one, I don't know what people think that means, but it means we are one self. We are the same self. We just have the perception of each other as being different. I recognize I'm not teaching anybody but myself. I know that I'm just teaching myself. And so therefore, I have the same things that come up in my life that you have come up in your life. The only difference between us may be the way that we choose to look at it, the way that we choose to react to it, the value that we put on it. And so my goal is to put the value that Jesus or Yeshua is teaching me to put on any experience that happens in my life. That I'm going to use God's interpretation of what happened to me today, rather than the interpretation of what happened to me today that the part of my mind that is fear-based would try to put on any experience that I have today. And I can tell whether the love part of me is interpreting my experience or the fear-based part of me is interpreting my experience by how I feel. So I really use my feelings as the one right use of judgment. If I'm going to judge, I'm going to judge by what I'm feeling. And if I'm feeling anything less than love and peace, I know that there's something that I'm not seeing correctly about the situation. I don't care what's going on. It can be the biggest tragedy, or it could be the thing that's awesome. If I am not coming from a place of love and peace on the inside, because my love or my peace is coming from the value that I'm putting on the experience, then I know I'm not practicing what I'm being taught. Okay. And then Christina says, my heart is with you, stay strong. And I love all events rise and fall away. Nothing can be added or subtracted to your essence. All events are neutral. Exactly, Christina. And Jacob says the same thing. All events are neutral. Thank you. CJ says she found the spot. You're welcome, Ashley. And Shahira says we are one. We are the same self. And that feelings are important. Don't forget, if you were to click on the share button where you're watching this, then it would give you an opportunity to share what we're doing, this video, on your timeline, and that would allow it to spread and other people will see it. I want us to gather in our mighty companions. I want more people to join in with us on Tuesdays when we do the Way of Mastery together at 7 p.m. Mountain Time here on Facebook. So let's go to the next paragraph. It says, all suffering. Where does all suffering come from? All suffering comes because of the interpretation you are overlaying. All suffering, any suffering that you have, comes from the interpretation you are overlaying over events. Okay, so suffering is coming from, my suffering is coming from the interpretation that I'm putting on everything that's happening to me. Any suffering, any pain that I go through is coming from the interpretation that I am overlaying on any event that's happened to me. If I'm going through any suffering right now, it's coming from the interpretation that I'm giving. If I'm having any suffering, it's coming from the interpretation that I'm giving to this situation and to this event. And in that very moment, you have used God's gift to you. What is God's gift to you that you're using in every moment? What is God's gift to me that I'm using in every moment? What is God's gift to me that I'm using in every moment? What is God's gift to me? What is my Creator's gift to me that I'm using in every moment? What is your Creator's gift to you that you're using in every moment? The gift that you are using in every moment is the power of awareness. You have the power of awareness. You have the power of awareness. That means you have the power to create your experience. God's gift to you is the power of awareness. And the power of awareness is the power that you have to create your experience through the power of your awareness. You create your experience through the power of awareness. You create your experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. You create your experience through the power of awareness. You create your experience through the power of awareness. You create your experience through the power of awareness. We create our experience through the power of awareness. We create our experience. We create our experience. I create my 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 experience. You create your experience. You create your experience. You create your experience through the power of awareness. You create your experience through the power of awareness. You create your experience through the power of awareness. You create your experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience through the power of awareness. I create my experience. 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 I create my experience through the power of my awareness. Also, I meant to tell you, this music, the vocal music, is from my very good friend and brother, John Christmas. So those of you who are interested in the vocal music that you hear sometimes, I want you to know that just go to johnchristmas.com and you'll be able to get the vocals. I don't play a lot of other music a lot of times because it's copyrighted music. And so, therefore, in the illusions of the world, that could create a little bit of conflict. So I will be, I'm working on that because I love John's music and I also love a variety of music. I think music is an army. Like when I have music with me, behind me, I feel like I got this army behind me because music opens up the intuitive side, our right brain. Because us in the West, especially Americans, we have been taught so much that everything is just about reason and logic in the left brain. And that it has its place. But there's also so many gifts that we can get through our intuitional psychic selves. And astrology and numerology and other divine sciences are just ways for us to get past our rational, reasoning, intellectual mind to get information in ways that are faster and more direct. So we need the intellect and we need the intuition. So just stay open to all aspects of yourself, being able to receive the messages from spirit and truth through many different means. And don't judge other people for the way that they receive guidance. The way of mastery is not the only way. The Course in Miracles is not the only way. Your particular path is not the only way. There's a one truth, but there's an infinite number of ways to get there. So don't confuse that. There is only one truth. Sorry, there is only one truth. But there are many ways to get to that one truth. So, it says, once again, my crucifixion, Yeshua says in the Way of Mastery, once again, my crucifixion was my final learning lesson. My crucifixion was my final learning lesson in the realization that I had broken the spell. What does that mean when Yeshua says he's broken the spell? It means I was no longer under the spell of the egoic mind, which means I was no longer under the spell of thinking that I'm just a body with a mind. when you have the spell of the ego broken, when you have the spell of your ego broken, you will know that you are spirit and not just a body. You have a body. You're not just a body, but you have a body. You're not just your body, but you have a body. When you wake up, you know you have a body, but you know you are not your body. You have a car, but you're not your car. You may have a car, but you're not your car. You may have a bicycle, but you're not your bicycle. You may have a house, but you're not your house. You may have clothes, but you're not your clothes. You may have a body, but you're not your body. You may have clothes, but you're not your clothes. You may have a body, but you're not your body. So Yeshua says, I merely looked upon my experience. Would you look upon your experience? And Yeshua says, I decided to freely be in a state of love in the midst of that context. So, what does that mean? It means that I've decided to be in a state of love no matter what the context. I've decided to be in a state of freedom no matter what the context. I've decided to choose for freedom no matter what's happening to me. I have decided to choose for peace no matter what is happening to me. I've decided to choose for sanity no matter what's happening to me. No matter what's happening to me, I'm going to choose. It is so funny. It's like right outside my window, there are cars beeping and alarms going off. It's like everything possible to try to distract me right now is happening from my one mind. It is amazing the things that come up when I'm doing my Facebook Live broadcast. Because there's a part of my mind that doesn't want me to hear this. And that part of my mind that doesn't want me to hear this is that part of my mind that thinks that, I don't really deserve to be happy, that I don't really deserve to have peace and fun and delight and joy. And let me tell you, there's a part of me that doesn't believe that doesn't believe that I deserve to be happy, that doesn't believe that I deserve to know that I'm one with everything. There's a part of my mind that has learned not to believe that I deserve the abundance and the lack and the abundance and the wealth that my Creator wills for me to have. And I don't mind admitting that, because it's only when I admit that there's a part of me that obviously doesn't believe in unconditional love, because I don't always see unconditional love, and I'm the one that's placing the value and the meaning and interpretation on everything I see, then I'm actually the one that has the thoughts that are not loving that I'm perceiving in my world. And I don't mind admitting that, because if I admit that to myself, then I'm willing to do what would be necessary to let it go. But if I'm in denial, and I'm saying, I'm the one, I love everybody, I just have total love for everything and everybody, yet I'm looking at a world that looks like it's going to hell on a handbasket, then I'm saying somehow or another what I'm looking at is separate from my own mind. And I'm going to tell you that there is nothing that I'm looking at that is separate from the thoughts in my mind. Thoughts do not leave their source. And the source of thoughts are in the mind. And everything that you see, that is your own judgments, your own values that you're looking at. Okay, so let's go on to the next paragraph. It says, you are free to be in a state of love in the midst of any context. It doesn't matter what's happening in your life right now. You are free to be in a state of love, which is a state of freedom. But what do you do to stay in a state of love? What do you do to stay in a state of freedom? No matter what's going on in your life right now, what do you do? Like you were saying earlier about your dog having a diagnosis that was really frightening. So how do you stay in a state of love, even in the midst of this context? Well, the Way of Mastery says, as you watch and observe the waves of temporality come and go. That's quite the word. Temporality. As you watch and observe the waves of temporality come and go. I love that, the wave of temporality. My mouth is not functioning. It's trying to resist saying the truth. My ego. You will not say anything else, Earl. You will not say. There's a part of me that's like going, you will not keep saying this loving truth, but I will. You shall not stop me, ego. Well, as you see the waves of things that are temporary come and go, and as you develop that capacity within yourself develop the capacity within yourself to make the choices for love. As you see that happen, and as you develop that capacity within yourself through the choices for love, through the choices for forgiveness, and through the choices to be happy instead of right. You want to make the choice to be happy instead of being right. Make the choice to be happy over the choice of being right. Making the choice to be happy, make that your choice over the choice of having to be right. Rather be happy than having to be right. Rather be rather be happy than right. Rather be happy than right. Rather be happy than right. Rather be happy. I'd rather be happy than right. I would rather be happy than right. I would rather be happy than right. Do you make the choice, as you make the choice to live in innocence and wonder instead of certainty and dread, and to rest in true knowledge, true knowing, rather than the relative knowledge of the world, want to be in true knowledge and true knowing rather than the relative knowledge of the world, then you come to see that all that is arising and passing away can never leave you. That loss is impossible. Loss is impossible. It's impossible for you to lose. Hear me now. Hear me now. Hear me now. It's impossible for you to lose. It's impossible for you to lose. It is 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 impossible for you to lose. You cannot lose. You cannot lose. You can only win. You cannot lose. You cannot lose. I don't care what it looks like. I know you could tell me many things. You can probably tell me many situations that you thought you have lost in. You could probably tell me a lot of situations that it looks like you have lost in. But I'm going to tell you again, and listen, damn it. Listen, damn it. You cannot lose. You cannot lose. Isn't it great news that you cannot lose? I cannot lose. I cannot lose. It's great news that I cannot lose. For where the mind chooses to rest in love, all things that arise and pass away are remembered and restored and sanctified. There is perfect peace. Where the mind chooses to rest in freedom, where the mind chooses to rest in freedom, all things that rise and pass away are remembered and restored and sanctified. And there is perfect peace when you choose to rest in love. When you choose to rest in love, there is perfect peace. When you choose to rest in love, then you have perfect peace. When you choose to rest in love, then you have perfect peace. Woo! That is such good news. Jacob says, it's great news that I cannot love. Amen, brother. Shahira says, oh yeah, we cannot lose, we can only win. CJ says, oh yeah. Now that is great news. You cannot lose. That is great news. CJ says, I would rather be happy than right. I would rather be happy than right. I am free to be in a state of love in any context. All I need to do is watch and observe the waves of temporarily to come and go and not attached to any of it. And all things that are not love are temporary. All things that are not love are temporary. All things that are not love are temporary. Right there with me, CJ says, right there with you, Raj, there's a part of me that wants to fully rebel against anything that tells me there is joy and love waiting for me. That is exactly right. It's a part of me that rebels against that. When I was born and a little child, I was taken to church, I was born fundamental Baptist, and I was told I was born in sin, that I was a sinner, just by the fact that I was even born, and that the Son of God died for my sins, and that my nature was a sinful nature, just from being born. So there's a part of me that I have to let go of. There's a belief within me that I have to let go of that says I'm unworthy, that I don't really deserve total and complete happiness, that I deserve to be punished. So if you don't think you have those core beliefs that you got when you were a child that may have been less than loving, whether you were a born Christian, a Jew, or whatever, there's some form of separation thought system, fear-based thought system that you probably got as a child, and it's time to let those things go. And the way of mastery is one of the many ways we have to purge ourselves of those old beliefs. So yeah, there's a part of Earl that doesn't like Earl. There's a part of Earl that thinks Earl needs to be punished. And I don't mind admitting that because I'm no longer supporting it. And since I no longer support it, I don't mind admitting that that part of my mind may be there. I don't believe being spiritual means that I go in denial about all my feelings and emotions. The way of mastery taught me that all my feelings are allowed. I don't have to walk around all day and beat myself up if I don't feel fun and delight in every moment. If I already had a completely pure consciousness, I would have no need to study or to have Jesus teach me how to let go of false beliefs about myself. So I'm going to be a happy learner. I'm not going to beat myself up because I don't do everything perfectly in my perception anymore. There's no need for you to do it either. The mere fact that you are here tonight with me means you want to go beyond any blocks to your happiness that may exist inside of you. So feel good about yourself for even being here, for even being here with me, listening to this with me. You are awesome, doggone it. You are awesome. Let's see, let's go to the next part. Then Yeshua says, though a beloved friend passes away in what you call death. I got back from a trip this past weekend, and in the building that I live in, there was this great guy that's been here. I've been here over 10 years, and I had this one guy that was a really good talk. You know, I have people that you have good connections with, and you see them that you don't necessarily hang out with each other, but when you do connect, it's always a loving connection. Well, when I got back from my trip, I got on the elevator, and there was a picture of him in the elevator talking about his memorial service. So while I was out of town, he made his transition, and I just found out about it. And I can remember the last time I saw him. He looked great, and we did our general greeting and good energy with each other like we normally do. And I didn't know that would be the last time that I would perceive him or see him in the body, and it was shocking. And I felt the pain of separation, or what appeared to be the pain of loss. I'm not going to pretend that I'm on the level of consciousness that someone that I care about can make their transition, and I go, oh, whoop-de-doo, they were in the body anyway. And so therefore I'm just ecstatic because they're gone. At some point I will be at that level of consciousness that I recognize that no matter what happens, it's for the person's own best interest in mind too, that there is no such thing as death. But the one thing that Way of Mastery has taught me is to allow all my feelings, let the feeling of grief come up, experience it, and then let it go. And so it says right here, though a beloved friend passes away in what you call death, because you do not identify the friend with the body mind, because I don't identify my friend Clifton with his body mind, and because I don't, then I will perceive that I can no longer, I'll say it again, though a beloved friend, his name was Clifton, so we'll use him. Though your beloved friend Clifton Earl passed away in what you call death, because you don't identify the friend Clifton with his body mind, and because you don't, then perceive that you can no longer love your friend. You just enjoy loving your friend. So I love him, I still love him, and I love him whether or not he's still in his body. So it says, as you abide in love, you begin to experience the reality that nothing dies. So don't you think that would be a good reason for us to start trying to live in love? Don't you think that would be a good reason for us to start living in truth? Because if you really live in love, because if you really live in truth, then you begin to, and here's the key word, it says, you begin to experience the reality that nothing dies. It's not something that you're just intellectually doing. See, I have brothers and sisters that are in their 70s, and I love them dearly, and they love me dearly. And so I know that I should not be putting my focus on my brothers and sisters not leaving their bodies, because I've already been told that anything that's born in time ends in time. That's just a fact. If it's born in time, it's going to end in time. So it's not about me trying to focus on the fact that their bodies are always going to be here, and how can I make sure their bodies are always going to be here. It's about me living in love so that I know that they never die, and who and what they are never dies, and I can always be in touch with the part of them that's eternal. That's what you want to work on. I want to work on being so deeply in love that I experience the reality of eternal life. And nothing dies. Nothing dies. Not a pet, not a friend, not a lover, not a relative. Nothing dies. According to what we are studying, nothing dies. No one dies. No matter what you see in the newspaper, no matter what you have experienced in your own personal experience, yes, the body dies. Because the body is not what is truly alive. It is the being that is emanating and animating the body that is alive. For pure intelligence can go nowhere, and we are pure intelligence. It says, one of your scientists once said, I think I have it figured out, energy is what makes up everything. Energy is what makes up everything. And energy can never go anywhere. Energy can never go anywhere. Energy can only change form. So you can never die, but you can change form. You can never die, but you can change form. Anybody that dies is just change form. And you know for yourself that a caterpillar doesn't look anything like the butterfly, even though you know the caterpillar is the butterfly. They don't look anything alike. So you are in a caterpillar stage, and you're going to turn into the butterfly. And when you turn into the butterfly of spirit, you will not look the way that you look right now. So nothing ever dies. Nothing ever dies. It just changes appearance. It just changes form. Energy cannot be destroyed. It just changes form. You are going to change form. All right? You are going to change form. You will not always be in a human form. So don't even try to make that your goal. All form changes. That's just a fact. And there's no sense in getting upset about a fact, Raj. There's no sense in getting upset about a fact, Raj. When your mother made her transition 25 years ago, your mother changed form. When your father made his transition over 40 years ago, he changed form. They still live. They never died. Your sister never died, Raj. Your brother never died, Raj. They just changed form. Nothing dies. Not a pet, not a bird, not a friend, not a stranger. Nothing dies. It all just changes form. The essence, which is the energy, remains. This is not unlike a mystic or a sage or a great savior or messiah or a very ordinary, everyday person waking up and saying, you know only love is real, only love is real, only love is real. You know only love is real. And in love, all things exist forever in love. 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 All things exist forever. I am not separate. I am not separate. I am not separate. I am not lost. I am not separate. You are not separate. I am not lost. You are not lost. I am free. You are free. The great journey in the field of space and time, the great journey that you're on, don't you know that the great journey that you are on is to allow that awareness to settle into your beingness? Allow your awareness of truth to settle into your beingness. Why? So that that quality of awareness permeates and pervades the level of the egoic mind. Allow your awareness to settle into your being so that that quality of awareness permeates and pervades the level of the egoic mind, and the level of the egoic mind is the level of interpretation. The level of the egoic mind is the level of perception of the body mind, which is the apparatus of the brain, the apparatus of the nervous system. The great journey in the field of space and time. You're on a great journey. What is the great journey? The great journey is to allow that awareness to settle into your beingness, so that quality of awareness permeates, and quality of awareness pervades the level of your fear-based egoic mind, which is the level of interpretation, which is the level of perception of the body-mind, the apparatus of the brain and the nervous system. All of that is still going on. But what do you do now? You begin to pervade your physical awareness. You begin to pervade your physical awareness with the growing awareness that only love is real. Say to yourself, only love is real. Only freedom is real. Only freedom is real. And you say to yourself right now, this is an experiential class. Say to yourself right now, I have the power to extend forgiveness. I have the power to extend forgiveness. What is forgiveness? What is the correct meaning of forgiveness? I'm going to give it to you right now. It says in this material that forgiveness is correct perception. Forgiveness is true perception. Forgiveness is not you trying to overlook what you think someone has done to you in the past. True forgiveness is not you trying to overlook what you think someone really did to you. True forgiveness is not you trying to overlook what you think some injustice is that someone did to you. True forgiveness is not you trying to pardon someone for the pain that they have seemed to inflict on you. That is not forgiveness. So, I have the power to extend forgiveness, means I have the power to extend correct perception. I have the power to extend correct perception. I have the power I have the power to extend true interpretation. I have the power to extend true perception. I have the power to extend correct perception. I have the power to extend correct perception. This is really good, y'all. My throat's going crazy. It's hot as hell in here all of a sudden, even though the air conditioner is on. I love how my own ego proves the truth is true, because everything happens to me that the truth tells me is going to happen to me as I begin to accept the truth for myself. The distractions, the defenses, the fears, the disorientation, the weird stuff happens that's trying to distract me from recognizing and hearing what I'm saying right now. But I have the power to extend forgiveness. I have the power to extend forgiveness. I have the power to extend correct perception. I have the power to extend correct perception. Perception is interpretation. Perception is interpretation. So I have the power to extend correct interpretation. 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 I have the power to extend correct perception. That is, I have the power to extend forgiveness. I have the power to extend forgiveness means I have the power to extend correct perception. I have the power to extend love. I have the power to extend true perception. Every time the mind trusts, every time your mind trusts, what is it that your mind has to trust in? Every time your mind trusts in the one that created it. Every time you trust in the one that created you. Every time you trust in the one that created you. And every time you allow yourself to rest in that peace of the one that created you, a miracle occurs. When does a miracle occur? You may think you need a miracle in your life right now. You may think that you need a miracle in some area of your life right now. If you think you need a miracle in some area of your life right now, then if you would like a miracle to occur in your life right now, what do you need to do if you would like a miracle to occur in your life right now? Listen, every time your mind trusts, every time your mind trusts in the one that created it, in the one that created your mind, every time your mind trusts in the one that created your mind and rest in that peace, a miracle occurs. A miracle occurs. A miracle occurs. Every time that you have extended forgiveness, every time you have extended a correct perception, a miracle has occurred. A miracle occurs. Why? A miracle occurs because you have withdrawn valuation of the old perceptual system. Whenever you stop valuing the old separated ways that you were taught by the world, every time you stop valuing what the world values, every time you stop valuing what the world values. Now, what is it that the world values? The world values the idea that someone else is doing something to you. The world values the idea of victimhood. The world totally values the idea of victimhood. And so when you stop seeing yourself as a victim, when you start to see yourself as the one who determines how you experience your experience, that means you have chosen for reality. You have chosen for the truth. And every time you choose for the truth, a miracle will occur. A miracle will occur when you choose for the truth. So how do you choose for the truth? You trust in the God that created you. You trust in the mind that created you. You trust in the one that created you. And when you trust in the one that created you, you can tell. How can you tell when you're trusting in the one that has created you? How can you tell when you trusted in the one? How can you tell when you're trusting in the one that's created you? You can tell when you're trusting in the one that created you, because when you're trusting in the one that created you, you will rest in that peace. A miracle can occur. How do I get a miracle to occur? I have to stop valuing the old ways of looking at things that are based on separation and fear and guilt. The enlightened sage is merely one who has cultivated the practice of training the mind to choose the reality of love under all circumstances. If you have become an enlightened sage, if you're actually awake now, the way you can tell if you are awake is you choose the reality of love. Choose the reality of love under every circumstance. If you choose the reality of love under all circumstances, then you are an enlightened sage. And through the enlightened sage, through their many successes, the one that is enlightened, that person has come to know that what they have chosen is true. You will come to know, I promise you, that what you have chosen is true. This you have chosen is true. This you have chosen is true. You will surely come to know that this that you're studying is true. You will truly come to know that this is true. You will surely, truly come to know that the truth is true. This truth that you're studying, it is true. This truth that you're studying, it is true. And you will surely come to know that this truth is true. And then God has been revealed. God being revealed is the truth being revealed. And then when the truth has been revealed, when God has been revealed, because the truth has been revealed, loyalty is no longer a question. When is loyalty no longer a question? Well, loyalty, Raj, is no longer a question. Loyalty, mighty companion, is no longer a question when God has been revealed. And don't you know that when God has been revealed, then love has been revealed. And that means you have come to know that what you have been studying, what you have chosen is true. So become an enlightened one. How do you become an enlightened one? Let me tell you how you become an enlightened one. Listen carefully so I can tell you how you can become an enlightened one. You become an enlightened one because you've cultivated the practice of training your mind. Cultivate the practice of training your mind. So what is it that you're going to train your mind to do? What is it that you're going to train your mind to do? You're going to train your mind to choose the reality of love under any circumstance that you're going through. You're going to choose for real love. You're going to train your mind to choose for love. Train your mind to choose for truth. But don't forget that you have a teacher. You have an inner teacher. You have an inner teacher. Resign as your own teacher. You have an inner teacher. Resign as your own teacher. Okay, so we are going to now, I'm gonna complete in just a minute, and we're gonna have the final takeaways from tonight's gathering. I want to thank you for tuning in with me, and we're going to do a completion in a minute that brings it all together. I'm a full-time teacher of truth, and this is what I do in the world. This is my calling. And for those of you who would like to make a financial expression of appreciation to support my teaching ministry, go to earlpurdy.com. I really would appreciate it. Thank you for sharing with me. Also, I do one-on-one mentoring and counseling sessions. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com. I do clarity sessions. And I also use my knowledge of astrology and numerology, which is awesome. And if you're open to that, I give you assistance in that way. If you're not open to it, I still can help you. So go to my website, earlpurdy.com. I'm going to be doing online workshops of an advanced nature, and you want to be on my mailing list. So go to my website, earlpurdy.com, go to the contact list, and sign up. Share these videos. We want to bring in our mighty companion. I need your help. So please, it doesn't take but a moment to share these videos on your timeline and to make other people aware of the way of mastery. There are other people in your life that would appreciate this. I do a course of love on Thursday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook Live. I do a course in miracles on Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook Live. And of course, the Way of Mastery gathering here on Tuesday night. And I love you. To find out more about the Course of Love, go to shanticristo.com or just Google a course, to get more information about the Way of Mastery. And go to shanticristo.com or just Google the Way of Mastery, and you will see how you can find out more about it. I have hundreds of videos on YouTube and hundreds of videos on my website at no charge for you to watch. So I give freely in terms of the things I do, and I also deserve to receive at a financial abundance level also, and I'm open to that. None of this being spiritual means being broke and poor stuff. So we are a part of an abundant universe. Okay, so here we go. Let's do our wrap-up. Let's see what the last comments are. Jacob, thank you for saying God bless you. Shahira, God bless you. Thank you, CJ, for your support and constantly sharing and helping me. Love you and appreciate you. Shahira says, I appreciate you too. Any great ahas that any of you had that you'd like to share? Talisha says, sending love, my beautiful companions. Have a great night. Here is the last thought that we're going to say for the next couple of minutes. So just let yourself hear this. Let yourself hear this. As our conclusion, let yourself hear this. Let's see. Let yourself hear this. You know only love is real You know only love is real. And in love, all things exist forever. In love, all things exist forever. You know only love is real. And in love, all things exist forever. I am not separate. It's right here. It's in the Way of Mastery. What I'm sharing right now as the conclusion is in the Way of Mastery on page 360. You might want to say it with me. Here we go. Don't hesitate to listen and don't hesitate to join in. Remember, like Terry says, nothing is ever lost. That was a takeaway. Thank you, Shahira, for saying that I definitely deserve to be supported. You're right. I do definitely deserve to be supported. Because to support me is support yourself. All that you give is given to yourself. Okay, here we go. Listen to me. You know only love is real. 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 And in love, all things exist forever. All things exist forever. And in love, all things exist forever. And in love, all things exist forever. I am not separate. I am not separate. I am not separate. I am not separate. I am not lost. I am not lost. I am free. I am free. You know only love is real. 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 And in love, all things exist forever. And in love, all things exist forever. You are not separate. You are not separate, Raj. You are not separate. You are not separate. Mighty companion, you are not separate. You are not separate. You are not lost. You are not lost. Listen, you are not lost. You are not lost. Now listen, you are not lost. You are not lost. You are free. 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 You know only love is real. Only love is real. Only love is real. Only love is real. Real. Only love is real. Only love is real. Real. Only love is real. Only love is real. Only love is real. Only love is real. And in love all things exist forever. And in love all things exist forever. I am not separate. I am not separate. I am not lost. I am not lost. I am not lost. I am free. I am not lost. I am free. Say it with me. I am not lost. I am free. Say it with me. I am not lost. I am free. Send some hearts. I am not lost. I am not free. Send some hearts. I am not lost. I am not free. Let's send some love to each other by sending some hearts to each other. Let's send some love to our mighty companions for being here with us tonight. I am not lost. I am free. I love you all. I am not lost. I am free. The last one is, I have the power to extend forgiveness. I have the power to extend forgiveness. I have the power to extend forgiveness. Let's say it. We have the power to extend forgiveness. We have the power to extend forgiveness. We have the power to extend forgiveness. I have the power to extend forgiveness. I have the power to extend forgiveness. Now listen, you have the power to extend forgiveness. You have the power to extend forgiveness. You have the power to extend forgiveness. You have the power to extend correct perception. I have the power to extend correct perception. I have the power to extend correct perception. You 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 have the power to extend correct perception. Woo! Thank you, mighty companions. This was absolutely an awesome gathering. I need you. I need you. I appreciate you. You are awesome. I love you so much. And I want you to check me out at earlpurdy.com. And mighty companions, mighty companion, may the course be with you. Good night.